My name is Tiffany Webb. I am an undergraduate student at George Mason University studying environmental science with a concentration in conservation. My interests range from wildlife rehabilitation to wildlife management to wildlife protection. As long as I'm working with wildlife in some shape or form, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be happy. So I was actually really excited when I found out I was going to be interning at the Blue Ridge Wildlife Center this semester because they have a strong focus on wildlife rehabilitation. I knew that this opportunity was going to give me possible insight on what it was to work with wildlife, as well as maybe making this a possible career path for myself. So I was really excited and I can't wait to get started. My first thought when driving up to the Wildlife Center was, what have I gotten myself into? It's such a tiny house, it's 200 years old, and it's only about 800 square feet.
I founded the Blue Ridge Wildlife Center in 2000 as a wildlife hotline and clearinghouse to help people who had problems with injured wildlife or had other issues at their homes. They would have a hotline to call to get help. In 2004, we opened up our Wildlife Rescue and Rehab Center here in Boyce, Virginia, and we've been working out of a small cottage for the past 10 years. Our caseload has increased from 117 animals our first year to now we are seeing about 2,000 animals a year come through our doors, and we are answering almost 6,000 calls for help on our wildlife hotline.
My name is Heather Sparks. I'm a certified wildlife rehabber. I've been with the Blue Ridge Wildlife Center for 3.5 years. I can be a difficult boss. I expect interns to be hardworking, dependable, motivated, interested in what we do, and show up on time on a regular basis. But that's about it. Mostly we teach you what you need to know here.
I learned quickly how much the center relies on the constant support from the volunteers who take time out of their work schedules and dedicate it to helping the center. It's a small facility being operated by 5 to 6 people daily, if you're lucky. My morning started with laundry as soon as I got to the center. So we only have one washer and one dryer, and we run them constantly 24/7. So to take care of the little things that we have, we scrape each article that goes in the washer for food and waste materials. We have to scrape each piece off. Now, don't let the cuteness of any of these animals fool you, because they may be cute and cuddly, but they poop just like the rest of us. And then again, no one ever said the life of an intern was a glamorous one. One of my favorite parts of the day was when I got to prepare the diets for the different animals on site. I started off with the songbirds and turtles, and then I eventually worked my way up to the education animals. At first, this was a bit overwhelming until Heather showed me what I call the Diet Bible. This is a handy-dandy tool that has the exact diet for each animal the center generally takes in, and its education animals. It is labeled in extreme detail from the different stages of life, like babies, juveniles, and adult, to the size each piece of food should be, and even down to what containers they should go in. The best part about working at the Wildlife Center is being able to interact with the education animals on site. I got to prepare the diets for Snuffy the groundhog, Beaker the skunk, Junior the possum, and Snow the Arctic fox. When Snuffy came to the center, he had been hit by a car, resulting in his front teeth never growing back. We had to feed him soft foods like bananas, and we also had to hand feed him to help the food reach the back of his teeth. This made a very messy task. Beaker came to the center very young. His den had collapsed, and after hand rearing him, he just never acted the same towards other skunks. So for his safety, the center decided to make him an education animal. He, however, has all of his teeth, so we are required to feed him with hemostats, just for our safety. Beaker is incredibly sweet and incredibly spoiled. If I was even just the slightest bit late bringing him his food, he was sure to let me know by pacing around in his enclosure. Junior the possum was a bit skittish towards me at first. However, every time I went in to feed him, I worked with him, allowing me to gently touch his back without stressing him. By the end of my time there, he was very comfortable with me to even allow me to pet him. While it is awesome to say that I got to pet a possum, this also helps the center keeping the education animals familiar with the touch and interactions of different people. Finally, there is Snow. She came to the center a little over a year ago. She was rescued during a drug raid and was turned over to the center. She was also skittish of me when I first started feeding her, but one day Heather picked her up so I could pet her. After that, I was on my own trying to create some form of familiarity. By the end of the time there, she never did let me pet her, but I did manage to get her to sit about 3 feet away without running. So that was a small victory of my own.
So here at the center, our other goal is to educate the public. So we do have around 30 education ambassadors who are animals that have come in and not been able to be released, and we use them for programs. So those animals get a name. We get to talk to them, interact with them, pet them in certain cases. The rest of the almost 2,000 animals we take in a year are wild animals with the goal of releasing. So they don't get a name. We don't interact with them any more than necessary. They are not to be touched. We have a camera system to watch them, so we don't have to peek in on them. So there's definitely a difference between the education animals and our rehab animals.
Okay, to become a wildlife veterinarian, you need 4 years of college and then 4 years of vet school. While you're in vet school, you can specialize in different types of animals you'd like to treat. So you can either specialize in pets or you can specialize in zoo and wildlife, and that's what I did. A wildlife rehabilitator is someone who usually has a college degree and then after college has done an apprenticeship working with another wildlife rehabilitator, learning how to take care of and rehabilitate injured, orphaned, and sick wildlife.
This is something pretty much anyone can do. I got most of my training on the job. I did go to college, but it was slightly helpful. You really have to be a little crazy. You have to be willing to work long hours, get dirty, work in all kinds of weather, and really just have a passion for wildlife and the environment. If you care about what you're doing and it makes you happy to do it, then you would love this place and a job as a wildlife rehabber.
Okay, the Blue Ridge Wildlife Center has grown so much over the past 10 years that now we have outgrown our small cottage and we are raising money to build a new larger facility. It'll be over 8,000 square feet, and we will have a classroom, a separate wildlife hospital, and also much more room to care for the injured and orphaned native wildlife.
My experience working at the Blue Ridge Wildlife Center was way more than what I could have hoped for. I'm very fortunate to have been able to work with Heather, Dr. Burwell, and the other volunteers all semester long, gaining experience and knowledge of the wildlife around me. I truly could not have asked for a better mentor than Heather. She was very patient and understanding, especially when it came to my numerous repetitive questions. And there was also really no such thing as a stupid question when it came to Heather. Leaving the center, I feel more confident about my ability to work with wildlife and to recognize certain animal behaviors, as well as the overall time commitment and dedication involved when choosing a career like this. I know there is still a lot more to be learned, and I don't see this being the end of my involvement with wildlife rehabilitation. So, I want to say thank you to SMSC for providing me with this amazing opportunity. Thank you, Blue Ridge Wildlife Center and Dr. Burwell for allowing me to come out and work with your organization. Thank you, Heather Sparks, for being such an amazing mentor and also letting me pet Snow. And also SMSC for giving me a cookie in my lunchbox every day to give to Heather to get on her good side.